This podcast is for informational and discussion purposes only and reflects personal experiences and opinions. It is not legal, medical, or mental health advice and does not create any professional relationship between you and I. Family court outcomes vary, and listeners should seek qualified professionals for guidance specific to their situation. This podcast may discuss sensitive topics, including emotional distress and suicide. Listener discretion is advised. If you or someone you know is struggling, please seek immediate professional help by going to your nearest hospital or calling 911. Hey, dads, moms, supporters, family, and friends. It's Rachel K. I'm your host of Deadbeat Dad by Design. This is episode 7, and I'm super excited to be doing our first ever video. We're going to do Zoom podcasts for our guests and my co host, and I'm really excited to be doing this today. For our first guest, y'all are going to be blown away. He's a big deal in the father's rights movement community, and he's ruffled some feathers, but I'm okay with it, and I'm honored to call him my friend. And I'm really excited to have him on. And so I'm going to go ahead and do my intro that I always do. And then we're going to get started with episode 7. As always, if you're a mom who is going through similar situations, I'm a mama. So I hear you, I see you, I love you, and I support you, and I do want to hear from you. So, this podcast is where we expose the truth about what happens when good fathers are turned into villains. And not because they abandon their children, but because a system, a narrative, and sometimes another parent needed them to be the bad guy. Today's episode: Trapped in the Child Support Spiral. This is one of the most misunderstood, weaponized, and emotionally destructive parts of family court because the child support was supposed to protect the children. But in many cases, it became a leash for the father, a punishment, a control mechanism, and for some, it became the beginning of the end of their financial stability, their mental health, and sometimes their relationship with their kids. Let's make one thing very clear right from the start. Real fathers do not have a problem supporting their children or paying child support. They just don't. And they never did. They paid mortgage, electric and water bills. They bought the groceries. They paid for doctor's visits, sports, birthdays, birthday parties for their friends, school supplies, late night pharmacy runs, trips to Taco Bell for the kiddos and all of their friends. And they didn't do it because a court ordered them to. They did it because it was their children. It was their responsibility and it was their heart. But everything changes the moment the relationship ends. Because suddenly, that same father is no longer treated like a parent. He's treated like a paycheck. And here's where the spiral begins. The court assigns a number, a calculation, based on a formula that doesn't see context, does not see manipulation, lies, doesn't see alienation, and it doesn't see gatekeeping. They don't see the parent who is being pushed out while still being forced to pay in full. They just see an income and they assign a debt, not a contribution, a debt. And the moment that number is assigned, failure is no longer defined by your presence as a father. It's defined by your ability to pay or not pay. Let's think about that. A father can show up, he can call every day, he can fight to see his kids, go to their games, be at school events, be emotionally present, support them in every way he is able to do. But if he falls behind financially, even temporarily, even on one little medical bill, he becomes labeled a deadbeat. Not absent, not abusive, not neglectful, just behind. And in this system, behind is enough to destroy you. Behind is enough to get you thrown in jail. Because once you fall behind, the spiral tightens. Interest accumulates, penalties stack, Driver's licenses get suspended, professional licenses get suspended, passports get denied, and suddenly, the very tools a father needs to work and survive and pay his child support are taken away from him. And then the system asks, well, why aren't you paying? It's because it's a trap, a spiral that feeds itself. And here's a part that nobody likes to talk about: child support becomes completely disconnected from parenting time. A father can be denied access to his children, he can be blocked. The children can be so manipulated that they choose to block the father. The father can be ignored, he can be replaced, he can be erased, and still he is legally required to pay in full. No adjustments, no accountability for the parent withholding and manipulating the children, no consequences for gatekeeping. The money just keeps on flowing, regardless of whether the relationship survived or not. Let that sink in. You can lose your child emotionally while still being required to financially support the environment, not the child. Let me repeat that. Being financially supportive of the environment that pushed you out. And that's not support anymore. That is a survival tax that they're paying. And the psychological damage that this creates is enormous because it doesn't just affect your bank account, it affects your identity, your dignity, your belief in your role as a parent, because the system stops seeing you as a father and starts seeing you as a liability, a risk, a number in a database. And over time, something even more dangerous happens. The narrative begins to shift, not just legally, socially, emotionally, and even within the child's mind. Because the child hears things like, well, he doesn't pay. He doesn't want to pay. He's making excuses so he doesn't have to pay. He doesn't want to support us. He doesn't help us. Even when the truth is far more complicated than that. Even when the father is drowning, trying to survive. Even when he's paying more than he can afford. Even if he's working multiple jobs or working 7 days a week. Even when he's selling pieces of his life just to stay afloat. The narrative becomes simplified, and simplified narratives create permanent damage. Because to a child, financial failure can be made to look like emotional abandonment. And that is one of the most devastating lies a child can be taught. And let's talk about what this does to the father mentally. Because the child support spiral doesn't just take money, it takes hope. It creates chronic stress, constant fear, helplessness. Because no matter how hard you work, no matter how hard you pay, you feel like you're always trying to play catch up. You feel like you're running on a treadmill that is never going to stop. And eventually, exhaustion sets in. And not because the father doesn't care, but because he's human. And the system was never designed to help him recover, it was designed to keep him compliant. And here's something that needs to be said out loud: this system does not reward good fathers, it rewards compliant fathers. That's a difference. A compliant father pays quietly, doesn't question, doesn't fight, doesn't challenge, even if he's being emotionally erased, even if he's being replaced, even if his children are being turned against him, blocking him, and choosing to have nothing to do with him. Because the moment he speaks up, he risks being labeled difficult, hostile, uncooperative. And those labels carry consequences. So many fathers stay silent, not because they don't care, but because they're afraid of making things worse, afraid of losing even the little access they have left, afraid of confirming the narrative that's already being built against them. And some fathers, they break. They break financially, they break emotionally, they break mentally. And not because they stopped loving their children, but because they were crushed under the weight of a system that never stopped tightening. The child support spiral doesn't just hurt the fathers, it hurts the children because those children don't just need financial support, they need emotional support, they need presence, they need connection, they need identity, and they need to know where they come from. And when a system contributes to the erosion of that relationship, everybody loses. Because one day, those children grow up and they start asking questions. They start noticing inconsistencies and they start wondering why their father disappeared. And eventually, many of them are going to realize dad didn't disappear. Dad didn't stop caring. He didn't give up on you. He was pushed out gradually, systematically, financially, emotionally, until there was nothing left. And some fathers never recover from that, not financially, not emotionally, not psychologically. And this is where we lose many of them because the damage doesn't end when the payments stop. The damage lives in the years that were lost, the memories that never got to be made, and the moments that can never be replaced. But here's what I want every father listening to understand: your worth is not defined by a court order, your value is not defined by a payment amount, your identity is not defined by a narrative designed to simplify a complex truth. You are more than a number, you're more than an obligation. You are a father, and that's what matters. Even when the system doesn't acknowledge it, even when the narrative tries to erase it, even when the spiral tries to break you, because the truth has something the system doesn't: time. And eventually, the truth has a way of resurfacing. Children grow up, they see it, they understand, they connect the dots that were hidden from them. And when that happens, that narrative, it loses its power. If you're a father trapped in the child support spiral right now, hear this. Do not let it define you. Do not let it silence you. Do not let it convince you that your role in your child's life is limited to a financial transaction, because it is not. Your presence matters. Your voice matters. Your persistence matters, even if it feels invisible. Because the greatest lie the system ever told was convincing good fathers that they were nothing more than a payment. And you're not. You never were. For tonight's episode, I put on Facebook and TikTok and all the things and said there was a really special guest coming on. And so I'm so excited to have him here. You guys also get to see my co host Kara's face for the first time. You get to see my face. Yeah, so we're real people. But for tonight, so excited. You guys already probably recognize him. His name is Ryan. I am honored to be able to call him my friend, even with some of the ruffling of the feathers that he's out there doing. I'm okay with it and I support it. And really excited to be a part of this movement with Ryan. He has kind of taken me under his wing in the sweetest way and showing me the ropes and trying to help get my name out there, just so we can spread some more awareness. So, Ryan, thank you for being on. Tell everybody just a little bit about who you are, kind of how you got involved in the father's rights movement, and then we'll kind of get into tonight's episode.
All right. Yeah. Well, I appreciate you having me on, Sarah or Rachel and Kara. Uh, I'm glad to be here. This is actually the first podcast that I've done since 2019,
Oh,
believe
I'm
it or not.
honored.
So yeah, this is the first in a while. But how I got started? Well, I went through family court.
Yeah.
That was the unmarried side of everything, and I was involved in my daughter's life from the time that she was conceived until she was 4 months old. And when I went to talk to an attorney, knowing that her mother and her grandmother are court reporters, I needed to talk to one. And I found out that I didn't have any rights. So I got an attorney, set everything up, went and did the whole attorney stuff. And once I got that attorney, uh, all hell broke loose. And I found out that dads really don't have rights, especially if they're unmarried fathers. So, long story short, went through the false allegations, went through the first custody hearing. I was also thrown on supervised visitation, even though mom allowed me to have my daughter on a weekend after we split up. But then when she found out that I had an attorney, her attorney gave her the advice of, whoa, hold up. This is an unmarried father. You have sole legal custody of your child until we go to family court.
Yeah.
So we were supposed to go to court within 2 weeks from when I filed, and her attorney pushed it out. And she pushed it out saying that she had medical emergency. Honestly, I don't care if you have a medical emergency. My daughter is my life.
Mhm.
I was the type of dad that I was up in the middle of the night, giving her a bottle, changing diapers. I was a very involved father. I couldn't wait to be a father.
Yeah.
And when I went to family court, found out that lies can be told. I couldn't believe the lies that were told about me. And from there, I started doing, the normal every dad out there going through it, just sharing and posting. Joined a group on Facebook called the Co-Parenting Clan because I was like, well, I've got to learn how to co-parent because this isn't going to work out. So I'm going to learn how to co-parent. I'm talking to women and men. It's a whole community. I got really popular in there. And then I met a guy named Christopher Ramble
Yeah.
and a guy named Kevin out of California. They became my two best friends to be able to talk about all this stuff because my parents, my family, they didn't understand what I was going through. They couldn't even believe the lies that were said about me, and then they started questioning, am I actually what she said I
That's hard
am?
when family starts going.
Yeah. So,
Yeah.
long story short, posting things. A guy found me on Facebook that is best friends with my stepsister. He reached out to me. I start talking to him. He tells me his whole story. And right at about 6 months later, I mean, he was dealing with it a whole lot harder than I was doing with what I was dealing with. And he killed himself.
Mm.
And when he killed himself, I knew why. I
Mm.
knew what he was going through. He was behind on child support. His truck was breaking down. He couldn't, he was working all the time. He wanted to see his daughter, all this other mess. And when he died, I said, I've got to do something. So I joined the Father's Rights Movement. Within the Father's Rights Movement, I learned how to make memes, how to talk to dads. I start hearing all these other stories. I'm doing phone calls with dads. And on the Father's Rights Movement, we weren't really allowed to talk about the unmarried side. So I said, well, I'll start my own thing.
Yep.
TUF was created, and it worked out just well because I am the unmarried father, and the acronym for it is TUF. So from there, built a page really fast, and here we are.
I love it. And it was a small world because um I I think I had like come across your page. It had probably been, like a suggestion or something, but when I put my podcast out on social media, my cousin reached out to me and was like, "Oh my gosh, I know this guy. He's from the same town I'm from. I think we may have been to school together and we found out y'all didn't, but y'all had mutual friends." But she was like, "You've got to reach out to him." And so then I went and saw you and I was like, this guy's never going to talk to me. He's got a lot of followers. and and I told my husband, and my husband was like, "Oh my god, I follow that guy. I love that guy." And I was like, "What? Okay." And he goes, "Just throw it out there. Maybe he'll talk to you." And sure enough, you and your friend that helps run your stuff reached out.
John, yeah.
John John reached out, and I was like, and I felt like a little star. Like I was like, he talked to me. and and now it's become a beautiful friendship, and you've been so gracious to mentor me a lot and tell me the good, the bad, and the ugly of this movement. And I've already learned a little bit of the ugly. I've been people trying to shut my page down already, and I don't care. I'm just gonna keep on keeping on because that means, you know, people are mad at you. People are mad at me. People are mad at a lot of us in this movement, and it just means that we're doing something right. And so we're gonna keep going. So I'm thanks for sharing your heart. Thanks for telling us a little, and that's just a tiny picture, guys, of what Ryan's been through. And so make sure y'all follow his pages. It's the TUF or the Unmarried Father or Ryan the TUF Dad. But for tonight, we're going to get into some nitty gritty and some stuff that makes people uncomfortable and they don't like to talk about. And it's because it's a
Mhm.
problem, it's a huge issue. And we're going to talk about child support. And I want to hear from you a lot, but I want to say my piece real quick. And I said it in my intro, but I want to make sure good fathers, good present, fighting, want to be a part of their kids' lives fathers do not have an issue paying child support. They want to support their children. That's not the problem. So before anyone tries to attack us and say, well, these dads just don't want to pay money. Well, they just want their kids 50-50, so they have to pay less. Or they take their moms to court so they don't have to. That's not what it is. It's not that they don't want to pay to support their children. They supported their children while they were married if they were married. They paid to support their children. Ryan, I'm sure you in those 4 months bought diapers and wipes and butt cream and teething stuff and probably
The
things for the
hospital
mom,
bill.
the hospital bills, things for the mom.
Mhm.
Like, and you had no problem doing it, and you didn't have a court order. You said it yourself. You had no legal rights to that child because you weren't married, and you still paid for the kid. You still paid for all of her things. And so where the narrative needs to be switched and get out of really naive people's minds, it's not that these dads don't want to pay and aren't willing to pay. It's that we have a failed system that causes them just hell. So I wanted to say my piece. I hope that makes sense. Um, it's coming from a lot of research. It's coming from personal experience. I'm remarried, so I have an ex-husband. We've been through all the things, so I am speaking from personal experience. But anyways, so I wanted to say, I know you went through a whole court battle and everything else. My first question to you would be, at what point did child support stop feeling like it was support for your kid and start feeling like it was just a system?
Honestly, at the very beginning, uh, as soon as I went to go and be in my daughter's life to establish my rights to be a father, the first thing that they brought up was child support.
Yeah.
That was the first thing that they brought up, and I showed my attorney where I had given, and I hadn't seen my daughter in 2 months. But through that 2 months, I had given 2 boxes of diapers, a whole big thing of wipes, clothing, formula. I think I gave 3 boxes of formula. So essentially, I was giving everything that a 4 month old, 5 month old needed 100%. Other than care, that's that's pretty much what they need. And my attorney basically told me, "I'm sorry, Ryan, but that's a gift. That's that's not child support." So as soon as I went through that, it's like, oh, I'm just a paycheck now. And once I finally went to court, they said, okay, well, you have you're going to get backdated. We're going to backdate you at least a month. And back then, for me, it was $651 a month back then. And $651 a month back then for one child for myself was a lot.
Yeah.
I mean, that was almost my mortgage payment.
Mhm.
That was 100% all of my utilities. So I paid it, and then every month I was paying $651 a month while also trying to pull money out of wherever I can for my attorney to help fight for me to be in my daughter's life. So it was the first thing that was brought up in court was child support. We're not worried about what time Ryan's going to have with his child. We're worried about how much money. How
Mm-mm.
they turned around and said, "Well, he hasn't paid a dime in child support yet." Well, look at these pictures. I just sent over, what did I say, 2 boxes of diapers, a whole, big package of wipes. And if you're good at wiping, which, experienced parents are, you can make those wipes last a while.
Yeah.
you know? And in the formula is probably, let's just be honest here, formula is more expensive than diapers are. I mean, it's
Oh, yeah.
outrageous what formula is.
Especially if they're on, sensitive stuff. I've
Yeah.
got a little grandson,
And she
and
was.
he's on sensitive, and it's $40 now. $40 for 1 container.
Yeah. I think it was about the same back then. And that was what, almost 10 years ago now?
Yeah, it's an
So it's
would you say would it be fair to say that child support feels less about the child and more about control?
yes, 100%. I mean, it's when you go to family court, you think that, at least I thought that I was walking in there 50-50 was just the norm. That's what I thought. I just thought that if you're a good dad, you're an involved father, which I was highly involved, that you're just going to go to family court and it's all going to work out. The judge is going to see that, oh, he's a great dad. That's not the case. They want you to jump through the hoops. They want you to prove that you're a good dad. But a mother doesn't have to prove anything, and now they just want child support. So I mean, I even found out that even if you sign the birth certificate and the acknowledgement of paternity, once you sign that acknowledgement of paternity, you are signing your rights to financially support this child. You're not signing your rights to be in that child's life because, in my mind, child support is to be there, yes, financially, but emotionally, spiritually, physically, because overall, a child doesn't even understand money. A child understands who is there for them, Who's showing up to ball games? Who's showing up to change that diaper? Who's showing up to give them that bottle? Very early on, that's that bonding moment. Those children know, who can I rely on?
Yeah.
Who's going to change my diaper? Who's going to pick me up when I'm crying? Who's going to change my diaper when it needs to be changed?
Hmm.
That's
Zero
childhood in my mind.
psychologically 0 to 4 years old. And they say zero because you actually do have core back in their memories as soon as you're born. 0 to 4 years old are the core memories that set your life up.
Yeah.
They set you up for, are you going to be anxious? Are you going to be depressed? Are you going to have trust issues? Are you going to be an independent person? Are you going to be dominant? Are you going to be submissive? That psychology, that they say that that's what happens in those 0 to 4 years. So you have a dad that's there, that's doing the feeds in the middle of the night, doing the diapers, doing the cuddles, and then the lullabies and the rocking and the pacing and the, oh my gosh, this baby won't stop crying, doing all the things alongside mom. You know, we'll say mom and dad are both there doing those things. And then whatever happens, a breakup happens, a divorce happens, whatever, we go our separate ways. All of a sudden, dad's snatched out of the picture until he agrees to pay some money. And what does that say to the child? Now, that's teaching the child that money is more important than love. Money is more important than presence. Money is more important than emotional support. And I think where I get frustrated that I've seen with other fathers is like, let's say you have a bad month. Let's say it's it's your kid's birthday. So you're going to spend a little bit extra because it's their birthday. All right. Um, let's say it's the middle of winter, and so your electric bill is going to be higher because you got to get the heat going. Let's say it's ice outside, so you couldn't work 4 days. Now, now you've had all these things that have happened. You've fallen on a bad month, and you fall behind on your child support. What does the system do to help dads?
From what I've seen so far, nothing, unless you literally spend the money to go to court and say, "Hey, I'm struggling." And then what they'll do is they'll be like, "Okay, well, let's see if you're actually struggling right now. Can you show me some documentation of where you're spending your money?" So you have to do all of your printouts and show that you're actually struggling. And
But you
there's
had to pay the court to go to court to
Oh
show
yeah.
them
Oh
that you're
yeah. And
struggling.
if you're going to do this pro se, you're looking at, $120 just to do this pro se. Serve mom, have everything set in stone for you to go. If you want to spend money on an attorney, which I tell dads, it's great to have an attorney for this, because there are things that, if she has an attorney, they're going to know a little bit more and twist things around. But I did it in the past and still kind of got screwed, but I got child support a little bit lowered.
Mhm.
And that was because I was overpaying.
Yeah.
I was overpaying in child support, and I didn't find out for 2 years until I went to my pay stub, and it was sickening looking at how much money I was spending a year. It was my last pay stub of the year, and I looked to see how much money I was spending on child support alone, and I was just like, I don't think it costs this much to raise a child a year, but it is what it is. And then I did the math, and I said, no, no. After my final court hearing, I'm supposed to be paying $150 less a month than what I'm paying right now.
Yeah, but they just keep taking it.
Right. So you have to go to court, and you have to fight for it. And I've got a dad right now that his daughter is like 13 years old, and he's still paying for childcare. And he's been doing it for years, but he's so scared to go to court because court's scary. I mean, you automatically think that these judges don't like you, especially after your first court hearing. You're just well, I just got to do whatever the judge says, and I'm going to pay my child support. I'm going to be a good dad, and I'm going to do everything that I can. He's a barber, and he's scared.
Oh,
He's about to lose his license to make money because he's. I'll just be real with you. The child is 13, 14 years old, and he's been paying for childcare through his child support. So I can't count how many years that is, but if you're paying that amount of child support, he's about $25,000 behind on child support. And the mother is, hey, we have 50-50 custody. Yeah, I still need some type of support, but I've already gone and tried to get this fixed myself, but he still has to go to court
Mhm.
over all of it. It's
It's a broken system.
I even myself this last summer, Stella's mother and I came up with an agreement. I went to the court clerk. Get this. I went to the court clerk, had her with me. I said, hey, I just want to file. We've already done the child support calculator. This is what it's going to be. I understand that you're doing this, but the judge still wants to talk to you. We're within juvenile court, so we're not within the child support system. We're in the child support system, but it has to go through juvenile court. This father that I'm talking to is also in the juvenile court system where the judge has total discretion over child support. So even when I had her mother there with me, they still said, you have to go to court. Well, if we go to court, her mom's a court reporter. I work and build vehicles. If we take a day off, that could equate to almost $1,000 day
Yep.
combined.
Yeah.
So there's $1,000 plus $120 for us to get in the court. And then who's to say that once we get in the court, things aren't twisted and swayed to where, are you sure you want to lower this child support?
Mhm.
oh my.
So I ended up going to my attorney, asked the court clerk. They said, oh, yeah, you can have your attorney do it. Oh, so you want me to spend money on an attorney now
Now that's
Yep.
$40 an hour
to be able to
for
lower my child support?
Mhm.
Even though she agrees, I agree. What is this? So it's even when parents agree to things, you still have to have the system grabbing wherever they can. And we can go down this road if we want to. But Title 4D of the Social Security Act is the reason why they want their hands within child support.
Oh, but there's no accountability on how that child support is spent,
Correct.
right? So they want their hands in parts of it, but not the other parts. There's no
Mhm.
there's no obligation, there's no accountability to prove how these funds are actually being spent, which is
Exactly.
which is that's a whole nother topic that we could get into where, dad's
Well, we
required to
could go
pay.
down so many different roads. This could literally be a 5-hour
Yeah.
podcast
Yeah.
just
I
on this
mean,
topic alone.
it's a hard topic because it's one that so many people get bashed about. You start talking
Mhm.
child support, and one of two things usually happens, in my opinion. You start talking child support, and some people shy away, like, nope, not even going to go down that road. I'm not going to talk about it. I'm not going to be judged. I'm not going to judge other people. We're going to shut up. Or you hear, well, he just doesn't want to pay.
Yep.
He
Mhm.
just doesn't.
Every video
He
that I've
made a
done,
baby. He needs to pay.
Right.
every video that I've done on child support, I get all of them, and it's men and women.
Hmm.
You just don't want to spend money on your child. What type of father are you? Are you just you just don't want to financially support your child? No, no, I do, and I've done videos in the past. Wait, hold up, and I'll take the phone and let me show you what child support is. You see that right there?
Hmm.
That's child support.
Yeah.
She's got clothes, she's got food, she's got a roof over her head, she's got toys, she's got her own bedroom. I didn't even have my own bedroom when my parents divorced.
Mm-mm.
I mean, my dad had to move in with my grandmother, and we slept on a couch, a pull-out couch. So even though that I've been through it all, I know what to do to show child support, but it's turned into where it's all about money, and instead of it being physical, mental, spiritually, just what a child desires from both parents. It's like those videos that we see where the child is up there on stage and they're just looking and searching, and then they finally catch their eye to either mom or dad. It doesn't matter, and they see they're here.
Yeah.
That's what kids want. They just want someone to be there. They don't understand money, and they will not understand money until they're of a certain age to understand money.
Well, and
Right.
and the money's become more of a punishment, and then money has become more of a let's see how
Control.
compliant or control Kara, thank you. Let's see how compliant we can make this parent. Let's see
Mhm.
if we can control this parent and less about actually supporting the child. Because you've got some I've seen some dads out there, child support is not only are they paying X amount of money for child support every month because mom's not working. So now he's supplementing her income because she chose not to work. So he's paying child support to supplement mom's income. He's also paying their health insurance every month. He's also paying their extracurricular activities at school every month, which mom can just be like, well, they're going to be in this and this and this, and just with
Right.
Millie. Oh, and then they also need uniforms for this. They're also going to competition for this. Oh, also they're going to a friend's house on your weekend and it's a birthday party, so you need to go and spend $100 on presents. Oh, also, and also, and also, and also, and it's just like it's never ending. It's never it never ends. And that's why I called the episode the spiral, the child support spiral, because you get into this spiral and it's like, okay, well now I can't pay. Okay, well now you're going to go to jail because you couldn't pay. Well, now I'm going to be in jail so I can't pay even more. So now I'm going to fall really far behind. Now I have to go to court. Now I have to hire an attorney again, and it's just this vicious spiral, and there's no accountability. There's no help for these dads. Like, I want to see where are the programs to help these fathers, to actually help them instead of you're a deadbeat because you didn't pay a medical bill, or you're a
Let me
deadbeat.
ask you a question.
Yeah, go ahead.
Surely you guys are not telling me, because I'm on the outside looking in, so probably like a lot of your viewers. You're not telling me that when the custodial parent gets the child support money that they have to do something specific with it? Like, surely they have specific things they have to do with it.
No, sweet,
Because I
sweet.
honestly, I'm being dead serious. I don't know the other side of this.
I'm about to blow y'all's mind. So I started dating a girl after all of it was over. Finally, the first custody order is done November of 2017. I start dating this girl, recently divorced, and I'm going over to her house during the week. She's got her son, she's got primary custody. And, after dating for a little while, there was a time that I took her vehicle down the street to Kroger, and she gave me a card. She said, "Hey, go get gas for my vehicle, then go into Kroger, get me a bottle of wine, find something for us for dinner, and get you some beer." She handed me the card. You know what this card was?
Child support.
What?
It was a child support card.
Mhm.
And me being and this is way before I was in the father's rights movement, before all of this, I said, you know what? I feel bad doing this, but I have to know. I have to know what this card can be used for.
Mhm.
And it worked for gas. I expect, buying gas, that's understandable. A child needs a vehicle that has gas in it. I get it. But when I went in there and I was able to purchase alcohol with it, not
Boom.
just the food, but the alcohol. I have an HSA card that I'm able to use on anything medical wise. I can buy Neosporin, Band-Aids, to ibuprofen, Tylenol, whatever I can use it for. I can go to Walgreens and I can buy anything at Walgreens, but that HSA card will sit there and tell me what I can pay for and what I can't pay for. So
Mhm.
I can sit there and get candy or whatever at Walgreens, but it'll let me pay for my Zyrtec and my ibuprofen or my children's whatever. It'll let me pay for it, but it won't let me pay for that soda and that candy bar that I bought. So
Right.
I can swipe that card, my HSA card, and it'll pay for what I need, but it'll make me use my credit card or my debit card to pay for the rest. Child support, that child support card can literally be used for anything.
Well, and some people don't even pay, they don't have to pay through the state. Some people can pay on Venmo every month. They can pay on Cash App every month. They can pay on Apple Pay as long as they're paying. And they usually will like label their transaction child support or something like that to prove that's what it is. But yeah, there's no, I,
See, I
I,
thought that money was like allocated like every month,
no,
like for specific things.
And what's funny is that's one of the biggest things I think if there was accountability on where that money was being spent, that would be one huge move to knock
Mm-hmm.
some of the crap down. Because I'm going to use Social Security for my daughter, for example. My oldest daughter's dad passed away when she was a little girl. And the state came in and said, hey, we're going to give your daughter X amount of money every month until she turns 18 to supplement her dad's money, part of the money that he had to help take care of her. And I was like, I was young, so I was like, I didn't even know. Cool, that's great. And they said, but every year you're going to get a statement, a tax statement, and it's going to ask you to fill it out, and you have to say what her money was used for every year. That's how Social Security worked. So every year I had to go in and write like this much was used for clothes, this much was used for food, this much was used for home over her head, this much was used for medical. I had to, for Social Security, that's expected, not child support.
Holy crap.
Does that not blow your freaking mind? That's
Yes.
when I figured out there's a problem with child support. When I'm having to do this for my daughter, so and of course I did it. Thank God, I was so thankful that because I was young when her daddy died, and I'm so thankful that we got that money because it helped us, pay for food, pay for school, pay for all the things. Um, and but they're gonna make sure the government's gonna make sure that that Social Security is being spent taking care of the child, but that's not expected with child support. And that blew my mind. I
But
was like,
Right.
child support is a reimbursement because they've already spent that money somewhere for the child. So child support is a reimbursement.
yeah,
Reimbursement.
Yeah.
yeah, it's a reimbursement when mom decides not to work anymore. Or
Mm-hmm.
dad. And let me real quick before we get attacked. There's moms out there that are required to pay child support.
Yes.
And if they miss their payments, they'll go to jail too. If they miss their payments, they're going to fall behind in the same spiral. So it's not just dads, it is moms too that are expected to pay child support, that get put in the same crappy situation, that wonder, where's my money going every month? Yeah, and it's especially fun for I've gotten to meet so many dads and moms. I've had moms reach out to me too and say, "Hey, I want to share my story because I've been through it." And I'm like, "Please, I would love to hear it." But I've
Speak, Speaking on what you're speaking of, I I myself, there's dads out there that are scared to make more money. So say,
yes.
right, you're spending so much money on this child support, so much money on these attorneys, so much money on the child yourself. There was a time I was offered double time on Sundays. I
Yep.
may have not even had my daughter with me, and I could have worked it, and I refused to work any overtime, anything. And there's people, in the background are like, no, you need this money. Why not work? Well, because next year, if I made 12% more than and it's different in every state, but if you make 12% more than what you made, and it's the difference between incomes. So if mom makes less and you make more, well, now you can go to child support and you're going to pay more. So I refuse to make any more money than what I was already making. And there's dads out there and there's moms. Well, get something underneath the table. There's private investigators out there that get paid to find the money that you're making underneath the table.
Yeah.
Mhm.
So you can sit there and there's dads out there that are like, she's making all of this money on social media right now that just slandering the hell out of my name,
Ugh.
and I can't even prove how much money she's making. Well, we can, but we have to subpoena this, and she can sit there and turn around and say that she's writing it off for this, right? That's the reason why all the money I make on social media, I literally give it to other dads. This
Yeah.
this is not my money. I should not be making money on social media for speaking about what's happening to other fathers, and knowing that $100 or $200 for just one dad for either Father's Day or Christmas will change an entire Christmas, or just the maybe you're behind on child support. Well, here's $100.
Yeah.
This right here,
I love that.
this right here was basically given to me because I was struggling, and I had a group out of Missouri that was like, "No, I want to be your Secret Santa this year." And me being a guy, I don't want any help. I'll figure it out. They
Yeah.
said, "No, what you've done." They gave me, I believe it was $200 that year. That's what it bought,
Yeah.
and that was She's 9 and she still plays with it. I think I got it for her. She was 5 or 6.
I
So,
think I think it's
and for people that are listening on the podcast, I'm pointing to a
Barbie Dream House.
right. I keep forgetting that we're doing this video, but at the same
We
time,
had
people are
those.
listening on Spotify right now. So,
oh yeah, it'll be the audio will be on Spotify and Apple, but the video will be on YouTube.
right.
Yeah, I keep forgetting too. I know I'm making all these facial expressions. I wish the
Yeah.
listeners could see us. We're super animated.
Yeah.
I Yeah, so Kara, to answer your question. No.
Yeah.
My bad. I'm sorry.
No, 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 no. We
Okay.
both went on
Well,
a tangent.
that's
There's
good
not.
to know. That's good to know.
I think that's one of those things that people are trying to get changed though. That's one of the movements that they're trying to figure out a way where it has to be allocated and it has to be proven. Like you've got to prove where this was spent, why it was spent. Um you know, things like that. Let me switch gears because you talked about a father that gave up and committed suicide because of it. And it is the very unfortunate reality, is that some of these dads get to a place where it doesn't matter what they do. If they go work more, now they're gonna see their kids less.
Right.
And if they work more to pay their child support, they're gonna make more money, so their child support's gonna go up. So they're gonna have to work more. And it's again, it's that vicious cycle. So
Mm.
how do you have advice for dads? How can they stay or try to stay mentally strong going through this process?
The first thing I would tell them is you're not alone. You're not the only man going through this. Um, right now, it's hard. Right now, things feel like you can't see the light at the end of the tunnel. I felt the exact same way. I didn't think I was fortunate enough to be able to move in with my parents. I didn't think I was ever going to be able to move out of my parents' house. There's dads out there that are living in their trucks or, their vehicles and paying for what they can when they can. There's dads out there that they don't even have a place to have their physical time, their parenting time with their kids. And so that turns into a safety issue to where they lose time. Now they're paying more child support. It's a never-ending battle. But what I would tell you is there are some types of resources to just talk to other dads, to get some advice, to have some ideas, to have the strength to keep going. Sean, who helps me run my page, Dad to Dad peer support platform,
Yeah.
great way to talk to another dad. He's been in this for 20 plus years, so he's able to help in so many ways. When you feel this low and you like literally you feel like you're 2 feet tall compared to everyone else, you're so insecure, you're afraid to talk to people about it because you're worried about what they're going to say. Find the right people, find a church, pray to God,
Yeah.
and literally praying helps. When you're able to lay in bed and just pray instead of rolling up in a ball, bawling your eyes out. I've been there where you can't even breathe.
Mm.
And I ain't gonna lie, I've called my therapist in the past at 2 o'clock in the morning. I've called my mom at
Mm.
2 o'clock in the morning. And back then, at least my therapist understood everything that was going on because she and Stella's mom we had all sat down before all of this happened. And then a week later, all of this happened. And she's like, where did this happen?
Yeah.
So this therapist actually was asking me for advice on how to handle things. And I'm like, I'm supposed to be, but it was to build men's groups like this. And when it comes to me and Sean, it's hard to get in contact with us sometimes, but it's good to talk to guys that are free because other places they're going to charge. And it blows my
Yeah.
mind. Why are we charging dads to talk to? It already costs money for a therapist and they're already behind on child support, but overall if you're behind, keep fighting. Don't give up. It's just like the dad that I was talking about earlier. His daughter's 13 years old. He's still involved in his daughter's life. His daughter knows who he is. He's more worried about the relationship with his daughter right now than he is stressing about child support right now. And he's hoping that when he does go to court, the judge will see his side, will lower child support, and maybe even cut off some of his back child support because of the situation that he's in.
I was gonna ask you, does child support guarantee that you get to have a relationship with your kids?
Now,
No.
child support is just it's just a paycheck. It's what matters is what a judge or what a mom feels about you at a certain time. And sometimes the judge will rule in your favor better than a mom will rule in your favor. And sometimes it's vice versa. But it's like I said before, child support, in my mind, should not be through the state. It's physically, mentally, spiritually, emotionally, and yes, financially, because that's pretty much what a child cares about. I mean, my slogan, and I've got it up here in this playroom: the best child support is equal share parenting. And I
Yeah,
understand.
get your sign. I want to see it. Get your sign for the video.
Oh,
Let
I
me
don't
see.
have that sign. I've got this one. So the best child support is equal shared parenting. I understand that sometimes people have jobs or they've moved too far away, but or an unmarried situation happens where you hook up with someone on spring break or whatever else, and one lives in Tennessee, the other one lives in Oklahoma. At that point, you got to be like my buddy Paul, who helped me run the page for a while. He was from Illinois and he moved all the way to Texas and moved right down the street from his baby girl. And even there in Texas, they still wouldn't give him 50-50, which is
Mm-mm.
even when you chase your child and move closer, it's, yeah,
The attorney, I don't know if you heard the episode with the attorney that I had on. He's the attorney in Texas. And he said, still in 2026, still the standard is 30 to 40% for dads.
the
That's
standard order possession, and they also have the extended standard order possession. Texas, uh, Mississippi, and I would say Louisiana are probably the worst states in the entire country. And I know some
for
people are
father.
be biased. I'm from Tennessee. I think Tennessee has gotten a whole lot better than what it was when our maximized parenting time bill just got passed when I walked in the court, and the judge had no idea. It even mentioned NPO, the National Parents Organization, in my hearing, and he's now retired. The judge that we have now is very pro 50-50, but it's still, you guys
That's a
can
funny
do it.
that's a funny statement that you made that I'm starting to learn too. Is it depends on what judge you get.
Mhm.
Mhm.
You can
I've
your attorney
witnessed that firsthand.
Kara has seen
Or
that.
whose
Kara has seen
attorney you have. People give me hell all the time. Well, you should have purchased a better attorney. Should have gotten a better. How do you know which attorney is good or not?
Right.
we've heard where there you might have four judges in one county. One is 100%, it doesn't matter who you are, what you do, what you say, that judge always is 50-50. Done. Then there's a judge that no matter who you are, what you say, it's always going to favor in the mom every time. Then there's another judge that's always going to favor in the dad every time. Then there's a judge that's a toss up, and it just depends on what mood they're in that day. That is a broken, failed system.
Yeah. Wilson
Mhm.
County has three, and my judge is the pro 50-50 guy now. But he wasn't my judge at the beginning.
Yeah.
We've got this woman, and I want so bad to slander her name right now, but I've
Don't
heard
you
so
do
many
it.
stories,
Don't
and
you
I'm
do
not
it.
going to do it. But I've heard horror stories, and the mom almost always wins in her court. Just me saying that she's a woman already, if people from Wilson County know, they already know who I'm talking about because she's the only woman judge in Wilson County. Horrible. I've heard horror stories. Thank God I don't have her. My own attorney, which I'm not going to mention his name, I've got a buddy of mine that I've been helping out with his case, just talking him through what he's going through, this, that, and the other. Sent him over to my attorney. My attorney would not take him because of who his judge is.
Yeah, that's
Because
what I
it's
heard.
just, I already know how she's going to rule, and there's no way I can do anything to prove otherwise.
That's what I've heard that. I've heard so many stories like that. And once you're assigned and you don't get to pick obviously who your judge is. And so once you're assigned a judge, that's who you're stuck with. And I've heard that same story. That attorneys are
Mhm.
like, "Oh, who's your judge?" Nope, not me. I'm not, no, because I don't lose, and that will be the case. I lose, and so it's
Right.
just it's more evidence of a broken system is all it is. It just is. um Let me ask you one more question, then we're gonna wrap it up because I just realized what time it is. We could do this, Kara.
I'm serious. We
We
we could do this all night.
we could do this for hours. um
I wasn't even sure if I was mentally able to do this tonight, and here we are, and
and
let's go.
I'm so thankful that you did. um okay, two questions real quick.
Okay.
In your opinion, what's the biggest truth that fathers are afraid to say out loud when it comes to child support?
The biggest truth that they're afraid to say out loud. I mean, some dads say it, but some dads won't. They're they're just afraid to say that child support isn't for the child. It's for the system to control them. It's it's a pawn. Child support can be used as that pawn for you to be in your child's life.
Yeah. I said it in the intro. In my opinion, you're paying child support to the environment that they're in, not to the child.
Mhm.
Um, that's just my personal opinion. Okay, and then this one might be emotional for you, and so you don't have to answer it if you don't want to. But if there was one thing that you could say to Stella about your fight and what's kept you going when she's an adult and she gets to hear this one day, what would you say? And Kara and I are criers, so sorry if we cry. Go ahead.
I've already cried tonight.
I know.
Thanks.
I saw you
Oh,
crying when he was talking earlier. I was like, oh, you got her.
okay, repeat the question so I answer it properly.
When Stella's older and she's an adult and she understands life, what is one thing that you would tell her about your fight and why you didn't stop?
She's my rock.
Yeah.
She's the whole reason why I'm here. There's a lot of dads out there that will admit that they are only here now, today, after everything that they've been through because of their kids. They they didn't off themselves because they think about their child. They and still already knows she is literally my world, my rock. She hates me calling her my munchkin, but ever since she was a baby, she's my munchkin. She doesn't understand. You're still my baby. I'm not a baby anymore, but you're my baby.
Yeah.
You're my life. You're everything. The whole she somewhat understands who I am today with being the unmarried father, and she's like, "Where's that? Daddy, that's you, and that's me." And there's a whole lot more that she does not understand. There's a lot of things that she will in the future, but yeah, she's the reason why I do this, and I want her to be able to have a life as an adult where she doesn't have to stress everything that we're dealing with today, because it's like you said, it's like I've said in the past, women are going to go through this as well. And I also don't want fathers to be so scared to just run, that just because you got a girl pregnant. And I also don't want women to say, "Oh crap, I got the wrong guy pregnant," and run.
Yeah.
This is all about just it's changing the future for our children. That is the whole reason why I got involved in this. I know that I'm not going to be able to change my circumstance. And I tell dads all the time, we may not be able to change our own circumstances right now, but doing podcasts like this will end up helping our future.
Yeah.
That's why we're in this. We're speaking to change things for our children's generation and our grandchildren's generations.
Yeah.
Right.
Karen,
That's huge.
any last questions or comments? We've talked a lot and you've just been a very good listener.
I'm just glad that I get to be a part of this movement and support both of you. And um, if there was anything that I could do, if there's any way I could get involved by helping any, parent out there that's struggling, like I would love for us to find resources. I'm a fix it. I'm a fixer, and I see all these problems, and I just want to go and okay, let's fix the problem. And I know it's not easy. That's not um, something that's really tangible always, but I would love to maybe find resources, find programs that you were talking about, Ryan. I mean, just the fact that you are handing out your own money to people. Um, sorry.
That's what got her.
Like, I can't believe that you're doing that for other dads. And I wish, like, I want to do more. I want to help people like that too. So, anyone that's listening, if you know of a resource or a program or something we can help these parents that are struggling right now, I would love to be a part of that. So,
Yeah. Thank you.
that's
Ryan,
all.
thank you so much for being on. I knew this
I
was gonna
really
be,
appreciate you all for having me on.
yeah.
Would
Well,
love to do this again.
you're kind of famous, and now I'm
No,
like,
Yeah, you're
look,
kind of
he's
a
a
big
I
deal.
still
he's a
don't
little
see
bit of a big
myself
deal.
as famous. I'm literally just a dad that had the balls to get on here and speak. That's all I am. You know what I
No,
mean?
I love that. I love that, and I'm thankful. And there's more. There's a movement, y'all. I can feel it. I can see it. It's coming. People are finally starting to speak up and are stepping out and saying, yeah, I don't think so. This is
Yeah,
something's got to change. And so, well, I'm so excited that Kara was with us tonight, and all those. Kara has 5 kids, Ryan.
I
Um,
do.
and so she's got a set of twins, and then another little one. Um,
And there's some teenagers.
and then
So,
she has some
the
teenagers.
whole
So
spectrum.
Oh
yeah,
man.
I'm glad you were able to be on tonight. Ryan, I'm glad that you were able to be on tonight. I really appreciate both of you. Next week is going to be another fun one. And so I'm excited about that. It will drop on Thursday at 6 p.m. And it is when co parenting turns into control. So I've got a really good guest for that one. I'm really excited about it. And so that's going to be another good episode. So make sure everybody you tune in. We're going to be on the YouTube now. I'm so excited. Woo! We're moving on up. I'm going to have to get like a really cute backdrop because right now it's just
Yeah.
my 80s grass cloth wallpaper. So I'm gonna have to start. I don't know. I'm gonna have to like up my podcast background game. But yeah, I'm excited. We're gonna be on YouTube now, and then we've got the Spotify and the Apple, of course. So everybody, make sure you tune in. Thanks for being here. You guys are the best. And Ryan, I'm sure I've got like 24 episodes lined up already, so I'm sure we'll have you on again at some point, and then we're gonna try to get Sean on here too, which I'm excited to try to do that, and then we'll see what we can do. So, all right, guys, I'm gonna stop the recording, but thanks to all the listeners. We love you, and we will hear from you soon.
Thank you.